Okay, we're going to talk about solving two-step equations. Two-step equations are when it requires two steps to solve the equation. The first type of a two-step equation that we'll look at is an equation that has two different operations. If we look at our example, 4x minus 5 equals negative 29, this operation, or this equation, has two operations being performed on x. The first one, you can see that x is being multiplied by 4. And you can see that x, we're also subtracting 5 from it. So to undo the problem, we need to perform two inverse operations of what we're talking about here. The inverse of multiplying by 4 is to divide by 4, and the inverse of subtracting 5 is to add 5. So these are the two things that we will have to use to solve for x. So the question is, which should we do first? I think instinctively a lot of us know which one we should do first, but we have a hard time explaining why. So we use PEMDAS to simplify expressions, and so to solve them, we're actually going to go in the reverse order of PEMDAS. So some people like SADMEP, but we're going in reverse order. We're looking to undo addition or subtraction first, which tells us that we are going to add 5 to both sides to solve. So let's move down and look at that problem. 4x minus 5 equals negative 29. As we said, we're going to undo by adding 5 to both sides. I'm going to use the vertical format here. Notice that I'm adding 5 on both sides of the equation. 4x minus 5 plus 5 will leave us with just 4x. And on the right-hand side of the equation, negative 29 plus 5 will leave us with a negative 24. Now if you look at the problem, we have a one-step equation. We're going to divide both sides by 4. 4 divided by 4 will of course give us 1, which is our the goal is to get our coefficient here to 1, equals negative 6. So x equals negative 6. I'm going to put my answer in solution set. And now I'm going to do a check. I'm going to start with the original problem. And I'm going to plug the value in for x. For what I got as the solution for x, I'm going to plug that in for x. Now I am using my PEMDAS. I'm trying to do the problem to see if these two sides are equal. I'm trying to simplify the expression on the left-hand side of the equation to see if it's equal to negative 29. 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. Minus 5 equals negative 29. Negative 29 equals negative 29, so my answer checks out. Let's look at our next example. This problem has x being divided by 2 and adding 5. So at some point we are going to multiply by 2 and subtract 5. Those are our two inverse operations. We're going to subtract 5 first. This time I'm choosing to write it in the vertical format. The new thing on each side is that minus 5, so I'm just writing that on both sides of my equation. On my left-hand side, I'm left with x plus 2 equals 6. Oh, I'm sorry, I misspoke. X divided by 2 equals 6. To undo my division, I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. I'm left with x equals 12. I'm going to put my answer in solution set. As always, for my check, I'm going to start with the original problem, plug 12 in for x, and simplify. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 6 plus 5 is 11. So my answer of 12 checks out. The next type of two-step equation we're going to look at has the first step of combining like terms. If I have two terms with identical variable parts, then I can add their coefficients. 7x and 4x are like terms, so I'm going to add their coefficients together. They're both positive, and I'm adding. I'm going to get 11x equals 55. Now I have a one-step equation. I'm going to divide both sides by 11 because division is the inverse of multiplying by 11. So x will be 5. I'm going to put my answer in solution set. And remember, I'm going to go back to my original problem. I'm not going to plug it into this part, but I'm going to plug it in here. 7 times 5 plus 4 times 5 should equal 55. 7 times 5 is 35. 4 times 5 is 20. 35 plus 20 will give me 55. So I know I've done my answer. I've gotten the correct answer. There are two more examples on this page. I'd like you guys to give them a try. If you want to hit pause right now, and then unpause it, and I'll have the answers for you. Okay, so your first step is to combine like terms. 5d minus 9d is going to give me a negative 4d. I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 4. My solution is that 4 is equal to d. I'm going to put that in solution set. My check, negative 16 is equal to 5 times 4 minus 9 times 4. I'm going to get 20 minus 36. And in fact, both sides of that equation come out to be negative 16, which tells me my answer of 4 is correct. Finally, negative 8s plus 3s. When I add them together, I'm going to get a negative 5s equals 25. I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 5. S is equal to negative 5. Put my answer in solution set. And I'm going to take my original problem to check. Negative 8 times negative 5 is 40. 5 times negative 5 is negative 15. And when I add those two values together, I get 25, which means my answer of negative 5 is correct.